Good morning, children. Welcome back to the lecture series on biology and human welfare. This is the third part. I am Vishnu Priya, Principal, TSMS Palamakla. Yesterday, we have learned about a common disease called amoebic dysentery, which is caused by protozoan Entamoeba histolytica. Today, we are going to learn about another common disease called ascariasis. As you all might remember, you have been given a deworming tablet twice a year in your schools. This is albendazole tablet that helps you to get rid of the worms that are there in your intestine if they are present. And these worms belongs to the phylum Nematoda and genus Ascaris. The species Ascaris lumbricoides infects humans. These are commonly called as roundworms. And the eggs of these worms are deposited on the feces and reach the soil. That is why people who open defecate are prone to this type of diseases very well. Plants and the eggs are released on the plants and then they infect any organism that consumes them. So that is why it's very important to wash all the fruits and vegetables before consuming them. This infection is commonly seen in children that results in malnutrition and stunted growth, which means below the value of height for age. Now, UZMA madam, PGT Zoology, TSMS Nawabpet is going to explain about the detail about the roundworms, how people are infected by them and their life cycle and the symptoms of this disease. And she will be also creating an awareness of the preventive measures and cures. UZMA madam, over to you.
Good morning, students. Welcome back to our zoology session. This unit 6 is important for you to keep your health in good condition and also to eradicate the diseases which are prevailing in our surrounding. So here the saying is there, that is the health is the real wealth and not the pieces of gold and silver. So now let us start with our class today. That is about again about the parasite. We have already started this unit 2 sessions back. Now let us continue this. Children, I hope these sessions are important and these are helpful to you.
There would be doctors, madam, so it is for them, it is very important to know about the diseases and all.
Okay, now children, now let us start our class. Slideshow. Now here, let us begin with a nematode. Nematode is a roundworm. Now here, this parasite, this worm is called as Ascaris lumbricoides. Now, the classification of this worm, where the systemic classification is, it belongs to the phylum Nematoda. Nematoda means a roundworm. Now, why this is called as a roundworm? Why? Because if we cut this worm, these are the worms, right side, you can see this. These worms are Ascaris lumbricoides. If you cut this worm, if you see the TS, transverse section of this worm, it will be like this. Here you can see, this is how it is from inside. From, if you are taking the transverse section, it will look like this. That is why these worms are considered, they are given the name roundworms. So here, they belong to the class Phasmidia. Now, helminthology. Helminthology, it is the study of parasitic worms. Helminth means worms and logy means study. So the helminthology is the study of parasitic worms. Now, it is commonly called as giant intestinal roundworm. What it is called as giant intestinal roundworms. It is monogenetic. Monogenetic means it completes its life cycle in a single host, that is man. So it is the host of this particular parasite is man. Now, dimorphic. Dimorphic means it exhibiting two forms. Morph means form, that is structure. So you see this worm in two structures, that female and male and female both are different in structure and in size and in form, in shape. So that is called as dimorphism. Now here in human being also, male and female are different from one another in form, shape, structure. So here I'll explain you about the dimorphism in the later session, in this session, in the later slides. Now here pseudo-coelomate. Pseudo means false and coelomate. So these organisms, they do not have a true coelom. False coelom, they have a false coelom. That means the body cavity is not derived from the mesoderm. So here it is called, otherwise the true coelom, it is derived by mesoderm. Here these organisms are pseudo-coelomate parasites. Now adult worm lives in small intestine of man. So here these worms, where do they live? They live in the small intestine and usually in children. Why? Because children, they do not follow the hygiene. They play in the soil most of the time and they keep their fingers in the mouth. They'll they'll put everything in the mouth, whatever gets to them. So here the children are more affected with this disease. Now here, the embryonated egg with the second stage rhabditiform larva is an infective stage to man. So here, when this stage, that is embryonated egg with the second stage rhabditiform larva, if it is taken into the, through the contaminated food or water, then this infection will, that person will get the disease. So that stage is called as infective stage. Now, the mode of infection is through contaminated food and water. Now, here you see this one is the second stage rhabditiform larva, the upper, this upper picture. Now, here you see the contaminated food, how the, vendors, they are keeping the food open and, the whole, the dust particles along with the dust, many microorganisms and the eggs of these worms fall onto the food and then we consume that. And children usually they are, they find this to eat this food. They don't eat, the food which is cooked at home. They want these vendors' food, that is, the outside the food which is sold outside here, like this open. Next is, here is the contaminated water. You see the water which is, infected with so many, the dirt, fecal matter, all that. Now this is contaminated. If this contaminated water is mixed in our drinking water, then this, this disease will spread. So what is the mode of infection? It is contaminated food and water. Now it causes the disease ascariasis. Now the name of this disease is ascariasis. The causative agent, the organism which causes this disease is Ascaris lumbricoides. Now high prevalence is in underdeveloped countries. Why? Because the sanitation program or the hygiene rules are not followed properly. So like the parts of Asia, South America and Africa, in some places in India also, where there is no proper sanitation. Now, before moving into this, organisms details, I would like to, make you aware of a certain, the terminology in zoology, which is important for your, for your this in second year also, in future, it is very important. That is the position of the body. Now here you see this mouse position. It is ventral from the front of the body. Here you can see this position is called as ventral. Now here you see from the back, it is called as the dorsal. It is called as the dorsal. Now here ventral and the opposite to that ventral is dorsal. Then here you see the side of this body. From the side you can see. This is called as lateral. So how many lateral sides are there? Two. One this side, the another one, the other side. So here this position is called as ventral position. This is a dorsal position. This is lateral position. Now the anterior part of the trunk, anterior part of the body, it is called as the upper part of the body is called as the anterior, and the lower part of the body is called as the posterior. Anterior, posterior. So you have come across these terms now: ventral, dorsal, lateral, and anterior, posterior. So here, remember this, whenever these terms are used, you have to, understand that ventral means from front part of the body. Dorsal means at the back. Lateral means sides. Anterior means upper. Posterior means lower. Now the structure of this worm. Now the sexes are separate. Sexual dimorphism is seen. Now here, male and female both are different in form, different in structure, different in shape. Next, the body is elongated. Elongated means long, and cylindrical. It is like a cylinder, and tapering at both the ends. So you might be thinking that why this carrot is here in zoology. Now here, I want to show you the shape here. Now look here, this part of this carrot is broad. And when you are moving down here, you can see the shape is becoming narrow, and then it is ending up in a point. Now here you see, now the broader end slowly, when if it is proceeding, it is becoming narrow, and narrower. So here, the diameter is decreasing slowly. This is called as tapering. The slowly, the size, the diameter is decreasing progressively. Now this shape is called as tapering. Now here, these worms are also tapering from both the ends, from the upper end, from the lower end, from the anterior and from the posterior parts of the body. Mouth is present at the extreme anterior end. Now here this term anterior has come. Anterior means upper end. So the extreme anterior end, mouth is present. So this is the worm. Now here this is the mouth of the worm. And it is surrounded by 3 chitinous lips. 3 lips are there. Chitinous means hard substance. So here these lips are little harder in structure, in texture. So here you see one lip is dorsal. This is the dorsal side of the body, back side. And this is the ventral side. So here one dorsal lip is there and 2 ventrolateral lips. Why ventrolateral? Here ventral is this side. Lateral, it is little to the left lateral side, and half of it is to the ventral side. That is why these lips are. What is the position of these 2 lips? Ventrolateral. So one dorsal lip, 2 ventrolateral lips. These lips are chitinous. Now close to the mouth, mid-ventrally, from mid means in the middle, ventral side, that is the front side of the body, there is a small aperture. Aperture meaning opening called excretory pore. There is excretory pore from where the excretory substance comes out. So here, the close to the mouth, there is mid-ventrally, there is a small aperture called as excretory pore. Now the color of this worms are cream color or ivory color. Now you may be, thinking, what is ivory? Ivory color, this, you can see this elephant. Here, the tusk of this elephant. Tusk means teeth, the long one. These are called as tusk. Now we human being, what we do, mankind here, we, kill these animals for this purpose. This is very bad. Now here you see these tusks, they are used for making jewelry or, the decorative pieces. So these tusks, then when it is made with, the jewelry and all, then it is called as ivory. So here, the color of this tusk, you see, this is ivory color. Now these worms are ivory color. The size of this worm is 150 to 200 millimeter length and 2 to 4 millimeter diameter. So here you can see this worm. These are not microscopic worm, microscopic, as we have studied in the last class, that is Entamoeba histolytica, which is a microscopic. You cannot see them. Now, you can see this, the difference between male and female, how the male and female are different. The male are small in size. This is the male worm, and this is the male worm, which is small in size, and female is, they are longer in size. Male are shorter, female are longer. Now here you see there is a posterior. These are the mouth. This anterior part is mouth, and this posterior, this is the posterior end of the body is curved in male. You can see it is curved posterior end, but here in the female, the posterior end is straight. This is important for your practical exam. You have to identify the male and the female worms, in which will be specimens are there. In that you have to find out. How you will find out? By seeing the posterior ends. Now here in this picture you can see this. There is a surgery performed here. This person is suffering from ascariasis, and these worms are there in the intestine, small intestine. So here you can see the surgery is operated, and these worms are taken out. Now, what is sexual dimorphism? Sexual dimorphism is the difference in morphology between the male and female members of the same species. Same species, male and female are different in how. Here you can see this, the lion and the lioness. You can see the difference here. The cock and the hen. They are belonging to the same species. The male and the female are different here. So how the difference is? Sexual dimorphism includes difference in size, coloration, or body structure between the sexes. For example, male lion have a mane. You can see this hair here on the male lion, here on the face, hair, this fur, that is called as mane. So the male is having mane and female does not. Now here, the male worm, how it looks. Now this is the symbol you see, a circle, and onto the circle there is a arrow. It shows this is the symbol to, for the males. Whenever you are writing male in biology, in zoology, you will be using this symbol. This is the symbol for male. Now to represent male. Now here, curved posterior end tail. Now here you see this worm is having a posterior tail which is curved. Here you can see this worm. The posterior tail is curved here. This is the posterior end which is curved. Here you can see it is curved here. Now here the posterior end possesses a cloacal aperture and a pair of equal size chitinous pineal spicules or pineal setae, helps in copulation. So here cloaca means the opening that is a reproductive for the reproductive, the reproductive opening, and there will be a digestive for the anus. But here cloaca, it serves both. It will help in the excretion of the fecal, the excreta, and also it will help in the reproduction also. Now here from this cloacal aperture, there is these spicules are coming out. Can you see this pineal setae or pineal spicules here? They help in copulation. Copulation means sexual intercourse. When they, these will help in transferring the sperms from the male into the female body. So these spicules help in transferring the, the sperms from the male body into the female body, which is called as copulation. Here in this picture, you can see the diagrammatic picture. Here, this is the cloacal aperture, white color one here you see. And then this is the pineal spicule, this black color one. And it is a copulatory organ. Now female Females are represented with this symbol. That is a circle and then a plus sign here. So here, whenever you have to represent a female, then you can write this symbol instead of writing female. Now, the females have a straight posterior end. Here you can see this female worm. Here you can see the posterior end is straight. You can see here also. This is the mouth. This is the mouth. This is the anterior end, and this is the posterior end. That is the tail, which is straight. The female genital pore or vulva is present mid-ventrally at about 1/3 of the length from the mouth. So here, from the mouth, if you divide the body of the worm into three parts, 1, 2, 3. So here the mid-ventrally, there will be an aperture. Aperture means opening, which is called as the genital pore. Listen, the word pore means a small opening, is called as pore. Now here, the anus is present near the tail end. So here at the tail end, anus is present. That is the last part of the digestive tract. Now here you see the real worms, male and female, how they look. And here is the diagram. Here the males are having a curved posterior end with pineal spicules. Female have a straight posterior end with anus here. Add to the 1/3 of the body of the female. Here you can see genital vulva is there. This diagram is from your textbook. Now, life cycle of Ascaris lumbricoides. Now, here where this worm lives in the small intestine of man. Now, here you see this worms from the small intestine. Now, in the small intestine, here is the small intestine. Here, male worm and the female worm. Now, they copulate, means sexual intercourse, and the female lays eggs. Female will lay about 2 lakh eggs. And these eggs are mammillated eggs. Why? Because they are having a rippled surface. Now here, these eggs are, along with that, it will go into the large intestine. From the small intestine, it will travel into the large intestine. And along with the fecal matter, it will come out onto the soil. Now in the soil, what happens? Development starts. And then the developing egg, there inside that egg, one larva is formed. And this larva is called as first stage rhabditiform larva. Now, then what happens? After some time, then first molting takes place. Molting means shedding of the older skin is called as molting. Now here, molting takes place, first molting, and then what happens? This larva, it will transform into second stage larva. Second stage rhabditiform larva. Now this second stage rhabditiform larva is infective to man. Why? Because when it enters into the body, it will start its life cycle and then it will cause the disease. Now here, this second stage rhabditiform larva, when if it is onto the soil, then it gets mixed with water and then it will go through the contaminated food or water into the human body. When this person, any person, if they are consuming contaminated food and water, this rhabditiform larva, that is second stage rhabditiform larva, enters into the body. From the mouth into the esophagus, from the esophagus into the stomach, and from stomach it will go into the intestine. In the intestine, what happens? Due to the action of the digestive enzymes, the shell of this, that is the mammillated egg, that shell gets dissolved and this larva is released. Now it will leave the shell and it will leave. And now here you see, it will make the, pierce means it will make a, forceful entry. Now it will come out from the intestine into the blood circulation. Now you see, blood moves everywhere. It travels to all the organs. So here along with the blood, it will reach the hepatic portal vein, into the liver through hepatic portal vein. From the hepatic portal vein, through the hepatic portal vein, it will enter into liver. And then from liver, along with, it will through the post-caval vein, it will go into the heart. It will reach the heart through post-caval vein. And from the heart, it will go to the lungs through pulmonary artery. And in the lungs, you have already studied in your 10th class, the sac-like structures in lungs, they are called as alveoli. So here they enter into the alveoli. In the alveoli, then what happens? Second molting takes place. Now, first molting has taken place in the soil. Now the second molting takes place in the alveoli of the lungs. After second molting, the second stage rhabditiform larva, it will transform into third stage rhabditiform larva. Now then what happens? It will undergo another molting. And then it will transform into fourth stage rhabditiform larva. So here it will transform into fourth stage rhabditiform larva after third molting. So now so far how many moltings are completed? Here first molting here in the soil, second molting in the alveoli, and third molting in the alveoli. Now here two moltings in the alveoli. Now which stage it is now? Fourth stage rhabditiform larva. Now this fourth stage rhabditiform larva, then it will come out from this alveoli along with the, the bronchi, then to the trachea. From the trachea, it will travel up here to the larynx. From the larynx to the pharynx. From the pharynx again back here into the esophagus. From the esophagus, it will come down into the stomach. From the stomach, again, it will go into the small intestine. In the small intestine, again, there will be a molting, and fourth molting, which is the last molting. Then the larva will transform into a small worm, young worm. This young worm, again, it will grow in size, and then it will attain the sexual maturity. It will become a adult worm. So here, this is the life cycle of this, the Ascaris lumbricoides. Now here, the male and female copulate. This eggs which are released into the soil. In the soil, development takes place, one-time molting. Then the second stage rhabditiform larva enters again through the contaminated food and water into the other body. Then there it will reach the intestine. From the intestine, it will reach the hepatic into the liver. From the liver, it will reach the heart. From the heart, it will reach the lungs. In the lungs, again, 2 times molting. Then the second stage rhabditiform larva will transform into third stage rhabditiform larva. The third stage rhabditiform larva will transform into fourth stage rhabditiform larva. And then this fourth stage will travel from the, it will take a long, the U-turn here you can see. From the respiratory tract, it is entering into the alimentary tract. From the bronchi into the trachea, and then from there into the larynx, then pharynx. Now from the pharynx, the alimentary tract starts. And from the pharynx, it comes into the esophagus, from there into the stomach, then to the small intestine. So here, total how many moltings are taking place? 4 moltings. First molting, second molting, third molting, and fourth molting. Now, how many stages are there? First stage larva, second stage larva, third stage larva, fourth stage larva. Then this fourth stage will, it will transform into a young one. That young one, again, it will grow and it will attain the sexual maturity. So this diagram is not from, in your book. It is for your understanding. The one which is there in your book, you have to practice. I'll show that. Now here, this mammulated egg, which is released, it is like this. Now here you can see the egg. Here you can see these eggs. These are mammulated eggs. Now why it is called as mammulated eggs? Why? Because it is having rippled surface. Here you see this custard apple, how the structure of this, it is ups and downs are there. Now here you can see. So here this is called as rippled, means the surface is not smooth. It's having ups and downs like this. So here this is called as rippled surface. So here this larva is also rippled surface. Now here you see this is the diagram which is there in your textbook. This diagram is there in the textbook. Now here this is the rippled surface mammulated egg of the Ascaris. Now here from inside, transverse section, if you take, then from inside it will be like this. It is covered with a protein coat, and second layer is chitinous shell, and third layer is the lipid layer. So how many layers it is covered with? 3. Protein coat, chitinous shell, and lipid layer. And you can see the nucleus here, cytoplasm. Now here, this is an important, very short answer for you. The X of the ascaris is called mammulated X. Why? Because it is covered with 3. First of all, it is covered with a rippled surface. The outer layer is protein coat, middle layer is chitinous shell, and the third one is the lipid layer. Now, what is molting? Molting refers to the shed of outer body covering, feathers, hair, or skin to make way for new growth. Now here, you can see this picture here, snake, which is shedding off its skin, old skin. It is shedding off its old skin. A new one is formed, and this old one is coming out. It is because the upper skin, it is non-elastic. And when there is a growth, when growth is taking place, this is because of the non-elasticity, it tears off and it comes out. So this is the molting. Now here, this insect, this cockroach is also undergoing molting. Here, this brown color one you can see. This is an old outer exoskeleton, which is shed off, which is coming out. And this one is the new one. Again, this one will become hard and it will become brown later. But here, this is the older one. So this process is called as molting. Both animals and arthropods generate their external tissue during their life cycle. So here, this larva, this Ascaris lumbricoides also undergoes molting. How many times? 4 times. Now here, this diagram is there in your textbook, and you have to practice this well for your exam. Draw it 3-4 times or practice it as many times as when you become perfect with this. So here, this is a important LAQ. LAQ means a long answer question. Along this diagram, along with a description, not only alone diagram. So here, this is the male worm. Now, how it is represented? With an arrow. This is a female worm. How it is represented? With a plus sign. Now, you can see the male is having a curved posterior end with a pineal spicule here. And the female is having a straight posterior end. Now, the male and the female, they copulate. Where? In the small intestine. Now, what happens here? The female will lay mammulated eggs. Now, these mammulated eggs are where? They are in the soil now. In the soil, they comes out along with the fecal matter from the body, and they are in the soil now. Now, what is happening? Development takes place here in the soil, inside the egg, and it produces first stage rhabditiform larva. This larva you can see inside. This is first stage rhabditiform larva. That undergoes first molting. Now, first molting takes place in the soil itself. Now, what happens? This larva is, now it is becoming the second stage rhabditiform larva, which reaches a new host by contamination. Contaminated water or food, when if it is taken by the person, man, then that enters into the body. And from the mouth, through the esophagus, stomach, and then it will reach the small intestine. Then what happens? The shell gets dissolved, that outer coat, outer shell, it gets dissolved because of the action of the digestive enzymes. And then what happens? This larva is released. It comes out, and then it will reach the liver. How it will reach? Through hepatic portal vein. It will come into the blood circulation. From the intestine, it will come into the blood circulation. It will pierce, it will penetrate, it will make its way into the blood circulation. And as the blood is going to this liver, along with that, it will reach through hepatic portal vein. And from the liver, it will reach the heart, and through post-caval vein. Now, from the heart, it will reach the lungs through pulmonary artery. Now, the blood from the heart is sent to the lungs through pulmonary artery. So, from the heart, it will reach the lungs. In the lungs, it will reach the alveoli. Alveoli are sac-like structures which are there in the lungs. In the alveoli, this larva, it will undergo second molting, and it will transform into third stage larva. And this third stage larva undergo another molting, that is third molting, and then it will transform into fourth stage larva. Now here, how many moltings are completed? First molting here in the soil, second molting in the alveoli, third molting also in the alveoli. Now this fourth stage larva, it will go to the bronchi, from the bronchi to the trachea, now from the trachea to the larynx, then to the glottis. Now it is taking U-turn into the, from the respiratory tract into the digestive tract. Now it is going to the pharynx, from the pharynx to the esophagus, from the esophagus to the stomach, from the stomach into the small intestine. In the small intestine, the last molting, that is the fourth molting, is taking place here, you see. Now this fourth molting, this larva will transform into a young one. Now this young one, it will develop, it will grow in size, and then it will attain sexual maturity, and they will become the adult worms in the small intestine. Again, that cycle continues. Again, the male and the female copulates, and then again this disease continue and spreading from one person to another person through contaminated food and water. Now here you see this extra-intestinal migration. The journey, migration means journey for a short time, is called as migration. Now here, this larva from the intestine, it is coming into the liver, from the liver going to the heart, from the heart going to the lungs. This journey is called as extra-intestinal migration. Now the larva lives in the alimentary canal. It is leaving the alimentary canal. It is going to the other organs. Then this is called as extra-intestinal migration. Important, very short answer for your exam. So here you see the life cycle of Ascaris lumbricoides. This is the diagram which you had prepared. The last what I have shown you. Now you see the description, how you have to write, explanation part. All this together will give you 8 marks in your exam. Very important question for your exam. Long answer question. Now here, copulation. Copulation means sexual intercourse. The male and the female, the male, the sperms get transferred from the male body to the female body. The sexual intercourse takes place in the small intestine of man. So the adult forms of these worms are there in the small intestine where copulation takes place. Now, after copulation, the female releases approximately 2 lakh eggs. Why this number is so large? We have studied in the first session that these worms, these parasites, they lay, the reproductive potential is very high. Why? Because they are living in the host body for a short time. So they want to multiply, they want to increase their generation in their body. So that is why they lay this large number of eggs. Now, each egg is surrounded by a protein coat with a rippled surface. Rippled means ups and downs. I have shown you that custard apple, how the structure outside, that one. Here you see this rippled surface, hence it is called as a mammillated egg. The rippled surface, because of that rippled surface, that egg is called as mammillated egg. This is the diagram of that. This is the real picture of that rippled surface. Now the protein coat is followed by chitinous shell and a lipid layer internally. Now first the protein coat is there, then chitinous shell is there in the middle, and then last is the lipid layer. So it is covered with 3 layers. These eggs pass out along the fecal matter, along with the feces, along with the excreta, it comes out into the soil. In the moist soil, development takes place inside the shell. Inside the shell, the development starts in the soil, leading to the formation of first stage rhabditiform larva. So here what happens, leading to the formation of first stage rhabditiform larva. And once the development takes place, first stage rhabditiform larva is formed. Now, this stage, it can live up to 6 years in the moist soil without getting transferred into the next host. So here, without a next host also, it can live up to 6 years in the soil. Is it possible? How can it be possible? Now here, yes, it is possible. Why? Because there is a resistant shell, that shell which is there, which is having a protein, chitinous, and the lipid layers. So the shell is very resistant. Resistant means it will not allow any unfavorable conditions which are there outside to enter into this larva, into the zygote, into the developing embryo. So here you see it has a resistant shell on the zygote, which protects them from unfavorable environmental factors. What are the unfavorable conditions? Temperature, the difference in the temperature, or the uh, outside pH, or else pressure, whatever, any unfavorable conditions are there, but this zygote will be protected because of this resistant shell which is there covering it, which is having 3 layers. What are those 3 layers? That is protein layer, chitinous, and then lipid layer. This shell also increases the viability. Viability means chances of survival of the zygote for years. So here the zygote will remain, viable. It can live for more than 6 years, also about 6 years, without getting transferred to the new host. So be careful. It is not like necessarily you're playing with the soil. It is free from the infected eggs of the Ascaris lumbricoides. Whenever you always wash your hands. Now it undergoes first molting in the soil and it becomes second stage rhabditiform larva. That is infective stage to man. Now this second stage rhabditiform larva, when if it is ingested means if it is taken through mouth by through contaminated food and water, then this larva will enter into the body and then the life cycle starts there, infecting you and spreading the disease. Now these larvae enter the alimentary canal of the man through contaminated food and water. Once the contaminated food and water open, food where the dust is there or which is not cooked hygienically, the water is not used for cooking, which is there. It is contaminated water. With that they have cooked or drinking contaminated water. So now what happens? This second stage rhabditiform larva, here you can see this is second stage rhabditiform larva. It will enter into the body of the host. Now in the small intestine, how from the mouth it will reach from the mouth to the esophagus, from there into the stomach, from there into the small intestine. Now in the small intestine, the shell gets dissolved and the larva is released. Now once the shell gets dissolved means it is, with the action of that enzymes, it gets dissolved, means now the larva is coming out, released. This larva penetrates to make way through the walls of the intestine. And what happens? They will make forceful entry from the intestine into the blood circulation. They comes out from the intestine into the blood circulation and come into the circulatory system, that is blood, and undergoes extra-intestinal migration. Now they will travel extra-intestinal, means outside the intestine. Now first it reaches the liver through hepatic portal vein, then it will reach the heart through post caval vein, then it will reach the pulmonary artery, lungs through pulmonary artery. So this is the extra-intestinal migration. That is the journey which is making outside the intestine. This is an important, very short answer in your exam. Now in the alveoli of the lungs, now from there it will reach the lungs. In the lungs, it will reach the alveoli of the lungs. What are alveoli? These are sac-like structures which help in exchange of gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide. So these alveoli of the lungs, in the alveoli it undergoes second molting to produce the third stage larva. Here molting takes place. First molting is in the soil, second in the alveoli. And then it undergoes third molting, where the third molting again in the alveoli. So how many moltings are there in the alveoli in the lungs? 2 moltings, second and third, to produce fourth stage larva. Now which larva is produced? Fourth stage in the alveoli. Now it leaves the alveoli, the fourth stage larva. It will leave the alveoli. How? Not directly, not from the lungs into the intestine. It will travel up, where reaches the small intestine through bronchi, the branches of the trachea, which are called bronchi. Then from the bronchi, it will reach the trachea, from the trachea to the larynx, and then now from the larynx to the glottis. Now it is changing the route From the respiratory tract, it is entering into the digestive tract. Now here, from the glottis into the pharynx, from the pharynx to the esophagus and stomach. So it is making a U-turn and then it is coming back to the stomach. From the stomach, it will enter into the intestine, small intestine. In the small intestine, it undergoes fourth molting. That is the final molting to become the young one, which attains sexual maturity in 8 to 10 weeks. 8 to 10 weeks means approximately 2.5 months. Now here you see the fourth molting means the shedding of the old skin, shedding of the old outer layer of the body is called as molting. We have I have explained you in the previous slide. Now, what are the diagnoses? Diagnosis means, suppose if a person is suffering with this disease, how you will know that that person is having amoebiasis, is suffering with that, ascariasis. So here, to know that if this person is suffering with ascariasis, some symptoms should be there. So what are the symptoms? Finding of characteristic eggs in the feces. Now here, characteristic eggs. Which are those eggs? Mammulated eggs. If mammulated eggs are seen in the feces, in the fecal matter, in the excreta, that is in the the stool of the person, then you can say that this person is suffering with ascariasis. What is the disease? It causes ascariasis. Now, disease is asymptomatic if the numbers of the worms are less. Now, if the worms are very less in number, the person will not show symptoms. The disease is there in the body. The worms are there in the body, but they will not show symptoms. Now, heavy infection, if the worms are more in number, heavy, then it causes nutritional deficiency and severe abdominal pain. Now here, if the worms numbers are more, what happens now? The nutritional deficiency. Why? Because these worms, they will take up all the food which the child is eating. So here, if the child, the health gets affected, nutritional deficiency, there will be no growth. You will see the growth of the child stops. And severe abdominal pain. Why? Because because of these worms, there will be a severe means more abdominal pain will be there. Now excess, severe means excess. So here more abdominal pain will be there. It causes stunted growth in children due to malnutrition. Malnutrition means the nutrition is not provided properly. Why? Because whatever this child is taking in, these worms are these parasites. What is the role of parasite here? Parasites always take the ready-made food which is prepared by the host. So what all the food these children are taking, it is taken up by the parasite. So here the child will not grow because of malnutrition. They'll not get sufficient amount of food for growth. So these children will show stunted growth. Stunted means short growth. The height will not increase. The structure, you can see their body, how they are looking like. So these are the symptoms. Now here you see this picture. This during heavy infection, what happens when the person is sneezing or coughing along with their, from the mouth and from the nose, you can see these worms are coming out. This is heavy infection. Now here you see this, there is a surgery operated here. Here from the intestine, small intestine, worms are taken out. They will, heavy infection. Now the surgery has to be performed to remove the worms. Now here the endoscopy, that is a camera is passed into the small intestine. You can see in the inner wall of the small intestine, these worms are there here. Now prophylaxis. Prophylaxis means prevention. That is, treatment is done when everyone is suffering with the disease, already suffering with the disease. So then treatment is given. That is, the medicines are given to him, and that is called as treatment. But the prophylaxis means any prevention which is taken so that we do not get this disease. That is called as prophylaxis or prophylactic measures. So here, use of boiled and filtered water. So now here, this disease is spread through contaminated food and water. So here you see the food. Here, what is there? You have to boil the water. When you boil the water, what happens? These shells of the egg, these eggs get dissolved. And then filter the water. In the filters also there will be, candles are there, which will not allow, the candles will have small pores, small holes where they will allow only water to come out, and the eggs and all this, contamination will get stuck. Will filter that one, and you will get pure, drinking water, which is free from these contamination. And always wash your hands after defecation, after going to the toilets, washrooms. You have to wash your hand thoroughly with soap. And soap also, it will dissolve the, eggs or whatever microorganisms, it will dissolve their outer covering. So wash your hands thoroughly and wash the vegetables and fruits before cooking or consuming. You have to wash it 2 to 3 times. Why? Because these usually the vegetables, when they are grown in the fields, they are in contact with the soil, so these eggs will stick onto it. Now next is the that is use septic tank toilets. Here these are the septic tanks. Septic tanks, here they are, the sewage water from the toilets, this water is gathered here, it is collected here, and then it can be cleaned off once in a year or twice a year. So here the using of septic tank where sewage system is not there. In the urban places, in the cities, sewage scheme is there, and they will, that washroom from the toilets, the water is collected through the pipes and it is sent for the treatment. But here they have to, in the rural places, the septic tanks can be used. And do not defecate in the open. Do not excrete in the open. Usually people in the villages or in the rural places, they will excrete in the open. Then what happens along with the water, that fecal matter, it will move from one place to another place, it will go to the fields, nearby fields, and there the eggs of these worms, if they if they contaminate the vegetables which are growing, and if we consume it again, this it helps in spreading the disease. So do not defecate in the open. Now here, these are important questions for your exam. That is IP, Intermediate Public Exam. These are 2 marks important questions. Now the eggs of Ascaris are called marmorated eggs. Justify why they are called as marmorated. Now it is because they are having a rippled surface, which first of all, it is surrounded by protein coat with a rippled surface. That is why it is called as marmorated eggs. 2 marks important question. Write the route of extraintestinal migration followed by the juveniles. Juvenile means larva of Ascaris lumbricoides. So here extraintestinal means other than intestine, where these the larvae are traveling. So here to the liver, to the heart, and to the lungs. Liver through postcaval vein, heart through pulmonary, the postcaval vein, liver through the hepatic portal vein, and to the lungs through pulmonary artery. And they're traveling to the trachea, larynx, glottis, and again coming back to the intestine, small intestine. Now describe the structure and life cycle of Ascaris lumbricoides with the help of a neat label diagram. So here, if this question comes, this is for your 8 marks question. This is a long answer question. Essay type. Describe the structure. So here you have to, describe the structure and the life cycle of Ascaris. Here for this, you have to write this complete answer. That is the male and the female, the structure of male, structure of female, and then the life cycle, starting with copulation in the small intestine, then how many moltings takes place and how that larva changes from first stage to second stage, from there to third and the fourth stage larva, then to the young, and then again it will attain the sexual maturity. Here the diagram of the marmorated egg also, and this diagram also very important. You practice well for your exam. Now here, IP exam in zoology. Zoology, it will carry 60 marks. Very short answers are 10 in numbers. So here altogether, each carries 2 marks, so 20 marks. Short answer questions, that is 4 marks each. How many you have to attempt? 6. So altogether 6 into 4, that is 24 marks. And LAQ, that is long answer question. That is 2 marks, 8 marks each. You have to attempt 2 questions there. So 2 into 8, 16 marks. Now here 16 plus 24 plus 20, 60 marks of for zoology. Now here in this unit, that is 6th unit, surely you will get two marks questions, 2 marks, 2, because this lesson is long. It is covering, many parasites here. 4 parasites will be studying in this. From each parasite, many 2 marks questions are there. Altogether from there, any 2 will be asked. And the first session, that is about parasites, there many 2 marks questions are there, first session of this lesson. So here the 2 marks question, 2 marks questions will be asked from this lesson, which will be for 4 marks, 2 into 2, 4. One essay question, one short answer, which carries 4 marks, and one long answer, compulsory one long answer. But this time what happens, because of pandemic, this physical classes are not taking place. So here what happened, some of the portion is, is deleted, a part of portion. So the 7th unit, which is about Periplaneta americana, that is the cockroach, it is deleted, because the one essay question will be covered every time from that unit also. But here what happens, that unit is completely deleted. So there are chances that from this lesson, they may give 2 essay questions, because these questions are, essay questions, there are many essay questions in this lesson. Every time one is asked, but this time maybe 2 asked from this lesson, because that 7th unit is deleted. Now total, this 16 marks every year, but maybe if you add 8 marks here, then it will become 24 marks from this unit. So here total every year 16 marks will be covered from this unit. It is an important unit for scoring marks. Next, now we'll have a quick revision for what we have learned so far. The Ascaris lumbricoides. Ascaris lumbricoides is the scientific name to this worm. What is the name of the common name of this worm is? That is the giant intestinal roundworm. Helminthology is the study of worms. And then what is this? It is a monogenetic dimorphic pseudocoelomate parasite. Next, the embryonated eggs, which are the infective stage to man. Second stage, rhabditiform larva is an infective stage. Remember this important point. The mode of infection is through contaminated food and water. Now, where it is seen this, it is seen in the underdeveloped countries, where proper sanitation program is not followed, where the sewage pipelines are not laid. When the water is flowing, the drainage water or the the excreta is open. Now these are the positions of the body: ventral position, dorsal position, lateral position. Now here anterior means upper end, posterior means lower end, mid means middle. Now here the structure of this organism, it is sexual, it shows sexual dimorphism, means the male and the female are different in form, in shape, in size. And this worm is cylindrical and tapering at both the ends. Tapering means slowly the diameter is decreasing from both the ends, from the anterior end, from the posterior end also. The mouth is present at the anterior end with a dorsal lip, and with 1 dorsal lip and 2 ventrolateral lips. Now, how many lips together? 3 lips. And these lips are chitinous, means they are made up of hard substance. Chitin is a hard substance. The outer covering of the cockroach, you see the brown color one, it is hard, no, like that, it is chitin. Now here, the mouth is towards the anterior end, and there to the near the mouth mid-ventrally, there is a opening which is called as excretory pore. What is the color of this worm? Cream or ivory color. Now, male and female are different. The males are having a posterior end curved, and the female have the posterior end straight. Sexual dimorphism means the male and the female of the same species are different in morphology. Morphology means in form. How they are different in size, in coloration, in body structure, they are different from one another. You can see this male lion, female lion is called as lioness. You can say lioness, lion and lioness. Here you see the cock and the hen. They are also different. This is called as sexual dimorphism. Now, the symbol always you see in the zoology further, you'll be studying. So you'll be seeing this symbol again and again. What is this? To show male, one circle and an arrow. This is the male symbol for male, representing male. Now here, the males have a posterior curved end and with a equal size pineal spicules. For this is the copulatory organ, and a cloaca. Cloaca is the cloacal aperture means opening. Here there is a pineal spicule which helps in copulation, which helps in transferring the sperms from the male to the female body. Now the female, it is represented with this symbol, that is a circle and a plus sign, and the female has a straight posterior end, and the female has a genital pore or vulva, which is a third mid from the mouth. If you see, if you divide the body into three, in the 1/3 position from the mouth, there is a vulva, that is the female genital pore. Then the anus is present near the end of the, the tail. Now here, this is the diagram which is there from your textbook. You can see the difference between male and female. Now the life cycle, the male and the female copulate in the small intestine. The female lay eggs, which will be in the soil. In the soil, molting takes place. First molting, then it will transform into second stage larva, rhabditiform larva. Through contamination, it enters into the body of the host. It will enter into from the intestine into the intestine. That shell gets dissolved and this larva is released. It will reach the liver. From the liver, it will go to the heart. From the heart, it will reach the lungs. In the alveoli, again, second molting, third molting takes place. And the larva from the second stage, it will transform into third stage. From the third stage, it will transform into fourth stage larva. This fourth stage larva, again, it will take a U-turn here. This pathway from the bronchi to the trachea, from the trachea to the larynx, then to the pharynx. From the pharynx, again, it will enter a glottis, and then to the pharynx, and then from there into the, again, it will enter into the esophagus, stomach, and then to the small intestine. In the small intestine, last molting, that is the final molting, fourth molting takes place, and the larva gets transformed into a young one. This young one in the, 2.5 months, that is 8 to 10 weeks, it will mature. It will become a big, adult worm, and then it will again copulate. So this is the life cycle of this worm. And here, very short important questions. Why this egg is called as mammillated egg? It is because it is covered with the protein coat, rippled surface. It is covered with 3 layers: protein coat, chitinous layer, and then lipid layer. What is molting? It is the shedding of the body, covering feathers, hair, or skin, so that the new growth is, it will form because of the new growth. The outer one is becoming short, so that it comes out. Now, this is the life cycle. You have to prepare well this diagram, practice well. For your LAQ, that is the essay question, will have this diagram. And this is a very short answer. It is about extraintestinal migration. Outside, leaving the intestine, how the larva travels outside the intestine. That is to the liver, to the heart, and to the lungs. On this life cycle, this explanation you have to write. So take the screenshots and write in your notebooks all this question answer, and then practice. And watch this video 2-3 times, so that if you are missing any point, you can again make it. Now here, why this larva, this, the egg can remain, this embryo inside the egg can remain viable, means alive, for about 6 years in the moist soil. Why? Because of this resistant shell which is protecting it. Now, you should avoid eating this type of food, contaminated food, and you should not drink contaminated water to get rid of this disease, ascariasis. Please take down the screenshots of these slides. And what are these, the ascariasis, the disease which is causes ascariasis. Symptoms are abdominal pain and malnutrition, stunted growth in children. And what happens here? In heavy infection, if they sneeze and cough also, these worms comes out from the mouth and nose. Prophylactic measures: use boiled water and filtered water. Wash your hands, vegetables and fruits. And wash your hands before, after defecation and before eating. And using septic tanks, and do not defecate in open. So children, hope this chapter is easy for you now. It has become easy. It is important for your 8 marks. Prepare well. So looking at these diagrams and these pictures, it will, you'll understand well. These many pictures are not there in your textbook. So here it is important for your exam. Please prepare well, and hope you are making use of your time these days. If the classes are regular, by this time we will complete our portion, and there will be extensive, very vigorous revision classes will start at this moment. But it is up to it is that responsibility is on you alone. Prepare well at home, looking at these sessions. Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much, madam, for such a clear explanation of ascariasis with beautiful illustrations and elaborating on the meanings of complex terms. Dear students, I hope you all have gained knowledge about roundworms, the disease, the preventive measures. We will continue the discussion on yet another worm-based disease, elephantiasis, in the next session. I request all of you to go through the textbook chapter thoroughly and watch the video multiple times. I would like to express my gratitude to UZMA madam for this wonderful presentation. Thanks to all the students for attending the webinar, and I hope you will continue to participate. Please make sure to subscribe to the Model School Telangana Junior Inter YouTube channel for timely updates. Thank you, madam.
Thanks, madam.